What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY and the overall markets. I'm going to talk about why the market could see some upside before a potential rejection based off the setups, and why Tesla is in a very critical place right now. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. So, Tesla basically saw this rising wedge that's been developing for the last couple of days. Then we got this rejection, only for it to bounce back up and now starting to reject again. We have this support to watch for at this 425 area. If that fails, so I'm looking for 420. If we break past 435, we could be breaking out higher. Overall, we basically gapped down on Tesla. We started to bounce, but only to start rejecting. And there is still some weakness on Tesla stock as a result of this. I also think that there is a risk of Tesla dipping to 420 or below in the future. There's no confirmation yet of it dumping, but we did try to bounce only to get another rejection. And that's what sometimes happens even with rising wedges. You get some kind of back test and then you could end up failing. So for now, there is still some downside risk in Tesla looking at the setup. Let's talk about the news. So I'll break down more details about the charts. So unfortunately, Tesla saw the registrations down in the majority of regions in France, Denmark, and Sweden. But I think in some regions, such as Norway, the sales are up. So let's go over the numbers just real quick. Portugal saw about 316 Tesla sales in November, down 61% compared to November of last year. For other regions, such as Sweden, they had 588 sales, but the sales are actually down 59% compared to last November. In France, the sales are down about 58% as well compared to last November. They had about 1,591 sales. However, in Norway, I believe the sales are up compared to what we saw before. They're up 175% compared to last November, so that's good. In Norway, the sales have been going up, so good news for them. Besides that, the Austrian sales are down 8%. And then the sales from the Netherlands are down. Actually, let me just double check this. They're down 44% compared to what we saw last November. So, in some regions, in the majority of regions in Europe, the sales are down, but in Norway, the sales are up from what I'm reading so far. Besides that, when it comes to some news and data that came out, we basically got some manufacturing numbers. Everything was very close to expectations. The market pushed a little bit upon this release. But then we have Jerome Powell giving a speech at 8 p.m. today. And for now, as far as the market's going, we're trying to push just a little bit. So I was going to try to go a little higher and get close to like 430. It's possible, but I just want to warn you guys of the possibility of rejection due to this rising wedge and this bearish divergence that's been forming on Tesla. So just to be clear, we need to break 435 for me to turn more bullish. If we come short, there's going to be a risk of Tesla retesting 425. We could consolidate between 430 and 435 for some time. And then I would not be surprised if Tesla starts dipping. This also resembles a head and shoulders, and Tesla could return back down towards 420 or below if we get the rejection. So be very careful with it. When it comes to other tickers such as SPY, let me just bring up SPY real quick. We could push to fill this gap over here, but I would still be very careful in case we get a rejection. If we break 685, then we're basically going to all-time highs, but there is a possibility we just back test this overall wedge, and then we could be looking for a rejection back down towards 675. So keep that in mind. Same thing with the QQQ. This is pushing a bit, could be looking for like 619 to 620. If that breaks, we're looking for 625. If that breaks, then I'm going to be turning more bullish. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we could be retesting like the low 619 to 620 area. Then we're going to be looking for a possible rejection. And we could return back down to 610 as we had a rising wedge. And this could just be a back test of it. I lean in favor of a big rejection or retest of 610 unless 625 is broken. So for now, there is some downside risk. Same thing with SPY. We could be pushing higher. Yes, we could be trying to fill this gap, but unless we break 685, I still think we could be looking for a big rejection. So if 685 breaks, I will turn bullish. We're basically going to all-time highs, but if we can't break that, if we come short, there's going to be a risk of us returning back down, in my opinion. On the IWM, the same thing is going on. We could be looking for a push to fill this gap at 248. Then we'll see if we turn back down to 244. For other tickers, we have ES. This basically has a head and shoulders like pattern, but for now, we're looking for an attempt for like 6850. If that breaks, we could go higher. If we lose 6800, though, we could be dipping back down to 6771. So keep that in mind as we pop. We could be looking for a rejection. On NQ, There's a head and shoulders like pattern. We're looking for basically 25,400 and 25,243 as our support. Look for some upside for 25,425, and we'll see if we get a rejection or not. We might come short of taking out this high, so we could be turning back down. On Bitcoin, we basically have a higher low that's being made here. So we could be looking for 86,000, and then we'll see if we get a rejection. On Tesla, we're also range bound, like I said, between 425 and 430. But we're going to see if we turn back down from 425. So keep that in mind. We're also we're going to be watching to see if we get a rejection off this wedge. I think that we could try to push a bit for now, but there is that risk of Tesla turning from here. So be very careful. Unless Tesla breaks 435, we're favoring some kind of rejection soon, and we could be returning to 420. On Nvidia, we need to break past 182 to be bullish. For now, 180 could be tested, but if we can't break this, we could be turning back down to like 175. On Aapl, we're range bound between 280 and 275. It's pushing a bit, could be looking for a 280 retest, but we're still technically range bound. There's no sign of a true break yet. We're still stuck in the middle. AMD looks bullish, favoring 222 as our targets than 225. Palantir is a bit more bullish, looking for 168. Coinbase is in the middle. We're going to see if 261 breaks. If not, we could be looking for the 250 area soon. Amazon's going to be favoring 235, and we'll see if it breaks out higher. Meta is going to be favoring essentially like 647.5, and we'll see if it rejects. And then Google is consolidating it, but it could be retesting like 320 before potentially turning back down. Finally, Microsoft could be looking for the gap fill back up to like 492, and we'll see how it goes. And last but not least, the VIX is rejecting here. For now, as the VIX is rejecting, we're going to see if this eventually forms a base near 15. I don't think we're ready yet. So to me, it looks like the market could go a little bit higher, but there is that risk of the VIX getting a nice bounce because it does love to bounce near the 15s. We already touched that. So be very careful in case we get a bounce. So where's the market going? We're looking a little bit more bullish for now, but there is that risk of a rejection unless the QQQ could break some key resistance. As far as Tesla's going, as we try to push with the market, I would not rule out 430 on Tesla, but if we can't get back above 435, there's also a risk of big rejection. So I want to be very blunt about that. So be very careful with this pump, and we'll see how well the market holds up. That being said, guys, I thank you all so much for listening. Please have an awesome rest of your guys' days. I'll be back very soon in just a couple of hours for another update. Until then, I wish you all the best and peace out.